Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. And today's subject is the Weather Service simplifying its products as far as flash flood watches and warnings and advisories, and simplifying it for the public. We're joined by Tricia Palmer from the National Weather Service in Greenville. Tricia, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and so is it my understanding that there will no longer be what's called a flash flood watch or flash flood warning?
Well, flash flood watches. Okay, what we're doing is this is one step in the overall process of what we're calling hazard simplification. So what we're doing here is in the past, we've had flash flood watches and we've had flood watches. What we're doing now is we're removing the flash flood watch from the overall idea of flood watches. So we're only going to be generally issuing flood watches. And then in the text, in the body of that flood watch, we'll be describing what's going on. Are we generally going to be seeing flooding, like a long-term issue? And by the difference is a 6-hour event. Is the flooding occurring beyond 6 hours from the rainfall, and that's what we define as flooding, or is it occurring within 6 hours of the rainfall, and that's more of a flash flood event? But we're all going to call it flood watches, and then we're going to be providing that information to you guys in the media, and then when you go on television or whatever, we're going to be relying on you guys to explain that to the listening public. We do have a couple of exceptions, though, where a flash flood watch will still be warranted. And those cases would be in the case of a dam break or levee failure, which is exceedingly rare. We've actually never had one in our forecast area, thank heaven. But we've had a case a couple of times where we were worried that one might happen. Back in the spring of 2018, we were worried up in western North Carolina that the Lake Tahoma Dam might fail. So we did actually issue a flash flood emergency for that failure. It didn't actually fail, but we were worried that it might. And if we actually got notification from like the USGS or Duke Energy or something that there was a problem with the dam, we might still issue a flash flood watch. The other exception, again, exceedingly rare. If we go back to the fall of 2016 and you think about the fire weather season that we had that fall, if we have a really, really bad fire weather season, which is incredibly rare in the Southeast, this happens a lot more in the Southwest, and we have a lot of burn scars that could enhance the landslide or debris flow potential in a heavy rain event after that, we could still issue a flash flood watch for those debris, for those fire burn scars. That does not happen that often in the Southeast to have those kinds of major burn scars. That is a Southwest problem they have out there. But those are the two exceptions where we might still issue a flash flood watch.
So basically the Weather Service is doing this because you had all these products, but now you're just trying to streamline it and simplify it. Mm-hmm. So, yes. So talk on that a little bit.
Well, we have a lot of products. We can go back a couple of years actually, because we've actually already simplified all of our winter weather hazards. We've reduced our winter weather hazards. We used to have winter weather advisories. We used to have freezing rain advisories. We used to have a whole bunch of winter type advisories. We got rid of all of those, and we only now have plain, straight up winter weather advisories, and then we describe what kind of winter weather we have in the text. We used to have winter storm warnings. We used to have all sorts of different types of winter warnings, and now we only have two. We only have winter storm warnings and ice storm warnings. But we used to have a whole bunch of different types of winter storm warnings that everybody's forgotten about now. We just have the two now. So we're doing that now with all of our flood advisories. People here in the Western Carolinas and Northeast Georgia probably have no idea that we have like 6 or 7 different types of flood advisories. Why do we need to have 6 or 7 different types of flood advisories? We're reducing those to one. We just have flood advisory. And then in the text, we'll describe what's going on with this flood advisory. A flood advisory is basically for, some ponding of water, high water on roads, nuisance flooding, maybe your parking lots have some high water. Watch out for some hydroplaning issues. This is not flood warning or flash flood warning situations, but do we need 7 products to describe nuisance flooding? No, we don't. Let's simplify this. Let's eliminate some of these products so that we don't confuse people.
Okay, but I guess I'll play devil's advocate here now. How do you really kind of differentiate the severity of the flood in that watch or warning? Like if there is like a flash flooding, a flooding emergency, how would that be warned on?
Well, we do still have different types of products for that. So we have our flood advisory, and then we have our flash flood warning. Okay, and within the flash flood warning, we have different what we call tags at the bottom. And those tags are machine readable tags that you guys in the media can then use that information to describe the severity to your listening public. The emergency managers know what those mean. And we have in the flash flood warning, we have 3 different categories of flash flood warning that generally describe the level of flooding. So we have a base, your standard level of flash flood warning, and this is when, the creeks are reaching their bank full, they're starting to spill over the banks. That is your standard flash flood warning. Then if it's starting to get bad, we're starting to have flash flooding that's reaching into homes, we can upgrade that to what's called a considerable flash flood warning. And if we're talking about a really bad situation, we can upgrade that to our top level of flash flood warning, and that is the tag is called a catastrophic, and that is when we headline our flash flood warning with a flash flood emergency. That is coordinated closely with emergency management, and that is our most severe level of flash flood warning. That is when you just need to do everything you can to save your life. You need to stay off the roads. Only get on the road if you are fleeing floodwaters. And that is when, again, we are coordinating that closely with emergency management.
So when the public is notified either through their phone or whatever device they get their warnings through, is it going to be simple for them to understand? Like when they see that headline, will that jump out at them, or will they have to kind of read the print below that?
Well, those 3 levels of flash flood warning, okay, they will always tone alert on NOAA Weather Radio. And we always encourage people to have multiple ways to receive warnings, whether that is watching their favorite television station, whether that is having a NOAA Weather Radio, whether that is having some sort of social media account where they have, some sort of automated way to receive warnings there, or whether that is having a smartphone. Now, to get into the details, a little bit of weeds here with the wireless emergency alert. That is a FEMA. FEMA sends out the wireless emergency alerts on your phones. Okay, so those 3 levels of flash flood warnings. I don't have a graphic for you right now, but that base level of flash flood warning, that will not send out a wireless emergency alert on your phone. That will send out the EAS codes on your television. That will tone alert on NOAA Weather Radio, but that will not send out a wireless emergency alert. Those top 2 levels, that will. And what it'll say will depend on what type of phone you have. If you have the most recent, one of the newer smartphones, it'll have your longer character, your 360 character wireless emergency alert message. It'll tell you, you have there's flash flood warning in your area. It'll give you a little bit more information on some preparedness actions that you can take, and it'll tell you to check local media. If you have an older smartphone, it only has a 90 character, so it'll just say flash flood warning in your area. Check local media. Now, for the flash flood emergency, that highest level, it will say flash flood emergency. You'll get the annoying tone on your phone. Listen to it, pay attention to it, take it seriously, but it'll say flash flood emergency.
So the annoying tone is good. We want to hear the annoying tone, and of course, we on the TV side will be filling in the blanks as well. So the viewers.
And that's why the wireless emergency alert says to check local media. Turn on your television, find out more information. That's why it says to check your local media.
Well, fantastic. Anything else you'd like to add about this product, Tricia?
About the wireless emergency alert?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it'll also go off for, all tornado warnings. It'll go off for that as well. And we have actually implemented a new category for years now for severe thunderstorm warning. For that top tier, and I won't go through all the details of that. That top tier is when we might be looking at hour winds and possibly 2.75-inch hail, which is really rare around here. But that was just implemented. Really rare, but it's possible that folks might get a wireless emergency alert for that tier of severe thunderstorm warnings moving forward. And again, the idea of wireless emergency alert is that you get it and you check local media. If you get that on your phone, you need to have your favorite TV weather station app or turn on the TV. If you get that on your phone, you need to find out what's going on if you get it and take it seriously.
Well, Tricia, thank you so much for your time and breaking down this new simplification by the National Weather Service. I hope it works out well. And the good news is it doesn't look like we'll have to use it here in the next few days. We've got rain coming into the end of the week, but it doesn't look like a flooding situation. So I want to, again, thank you very much for joining us. Have a great day. And thank you for joining us for today's podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.